I was kind of scared because I had threatened to take all the fake money and leave with it. And then the spirit came through and said, I'll cut you. And so then I was like, okay, I think I need to like take a break and step outside.
She had went into the detox cell, and then all of a sudden you hear this man saying, died in here.
Phil Evans was hung in 1894, and the lynch mob was so outraged with Phil Evans that they came to come get him and lynch him themselves. It was the last public hanging in Nelson County.
You know, a lot of paranormal enthusiasts and investigators, researchers believe that, entities, ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call them, are tied to a location because of an emotional attachment, familial bonds, things like that. This location here at the Jailer's Inn, you have a mix of all that. You have traumatic deaths, you have some dark history associated with it, you have jailers that lived and worked here. So it can be anyone that could be here, possibly. So we have to look into every aspect of not only the history, but the eyewitness testimony of the reports of activity. But we also have to really, light this place up with our scientific equipment, looking into the environmental data and seeing exactly who may be here. But there's a lot of dark history here. You can kind of feel that dark history when you first walk into the building. So we kind of have to put that out of our minds and stick to, logic, try and find some natural explanations to what may be going on here first and foremost. But I think this is a very special place. I think it has all the elements of a haunting. Being that we're here in Bardstown, you have massive cave systems, you have running water throughout those cave systems and the surrounding areas, and we have a building here that's made of limestone. There's a lot of paranormal investigators that believe that limestone retains energy. I'm not sure if that theory is legitimate or not, but this building is made of limestone, and it's a theory we have to definitely test and look into. But there's definitely something special about this place. I mean, just looking at it from the outside, walking into the building, there's definitely a different feeling to the Jailer's Inn than most places.
Well, first of all, Paul, thank you so much for letting us into your very cozy jail. We are in a very tight little space right here by the cell block, which I personally love because I'm a prison nerd, which is probably a really weird thing to say, but I'm actually really excited to be here. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us how you acquired the jail.
Well, I'm Paul McCoy. I'm with the Jailer's Inn, or the Old County Jail, or Old Nelson County Jail here. It was a jail built in 1819, used as the county jail until 1987. And there's two jails still on site now. The building we're in now was a jail from 1819 to 1874, built the back part and converted the front part into the jailer's home. When the front part was the jail, the 3 rooms upstairs were the cells. 2 of them were prefab cages, while the one at the top of the stairs, called the upstairs dungeon room or felon room, where prisoners were shackled to the floor. But then they built the back part in 1874, and that was the jail used until 1987.
It's amazing to me that the original thought was to have jails upstairs. That seems like a really strange design for a jail. And does that have anything to do with the fact that, not to be offensive to the jail, but it seems like a lot of people escaped from here quite often. And so is that why they were putting them on the 2nd floor?
When the 1819 jail was in use, the 3 rooms were the cells upstairs, 2 of them prefab cages. So you're locked in your room, in your cage, and upstairs to get out. So if you wanted to jump out, you'd have to jump out 15 feet off the ground to land on the ground to get away. Back jail was built in 1874 and used to 1987. The 2 buildings were connected around 1911, which is where we are now. The room behind us is referred to as women's cell, where women were incarcerated here. Nowadays, we've turned it into a bed and breakfast room, so it's a little bit nicer nowadays, rather than they get to pay to get in jail rather than pay to get out of jail nowadays. This was a jail to 1987. It sat vacant for the year. In 1988, the county didn't know what to do with it, so they put it up for public auction. My parents came to the auction. My father's an interesting fellow. He started bidding on it. Finally, we got a little higher. My mother pulled him aside, asked him what he was doing. He said, let's do something with this place. And she gave that next bid. That's the bid that bought the place. And not long after that, friends of theirs had a bed and breakfast outside town. She looked at the place. We got the right layout for this. And my mother started the bed and breakfast with 2 rooms upstairs and 2 rooms down, shared bathrooms. Now we've added private bathrooms to all the rooms, and have 9 total bed and breakfast rooms now.
Well, and this is a really interesting place to stay because you have so many stories that are documented with the jail. I think that's the thing that really excited me as a historical researcher with this location is just the amount of articles I was able to find on these locations. The courtyard, we know that is where the executions would take place. And you have some really graphic photos over here on the wall of one of your probably most infamous inmates, which is Phil Evans.
Right.
Who, I mean, that case is disturbing on so many levels. And if I remember correctly, he actually confessed on the gallows that he was in fact guilty of that crime.
Right.
And what I think is really interesting about that is yet again, you have a mob of people that are threatening to take action if what they think is justice doesn't happen.
Right. There was the local jailer heard about the lynch mob coming for Phil Evans. He wanted to uphold the law, so he snuck him out of this jail and a roundabout way took him to Louisville, and then brought him back down for trial, found guilty, then hung. Still just took 3 months. But that was still not fast enough for the townspeople. It was the last public hanging in Nelson County as well.
Oh, interesting. And from what I understand, the courtyard was full of specters. Everybody wanted to see this.
Right.
And that his coffin actually laid in here and the public could come view his body.
After Phil Evans was pronounced dead, they paraded his body in a coffin to the court square, put him on the court square for public viewing. Now, in the courtyard, only the men come to the hanging, while the women and children were outside the wall having picnics. It was a big social event.
One of the cases that I'm personally drawn to is the 1885 case of Martin Hill, who, as you know, shot his wife in a drunken rage, which is tragic and horrible. But the reason why I'm really kind of drawn to it is the women of the town were so outraged by the fact that this man shot his wife that they threatened to take action into their own hands if he wasn't hung. And this is 1885. That's insane that women are threatening to kill a man if the law doesn't hang him. That's insane.
Martin Hill beat his wife. She ran into the neighbor's yard, which just so happened to be Martin Hill's brother. She was nursing her baby. Martin comes in, shoots her while she's nursing the baby.
It's a tragic case,
Tragic
a horrible case. Also with Martin Hill, he didn't end up making it to the gallows, did he? Because he died in his cell of typhoid fever?
He died of fever in his cell, excruciating deaths. They said that the inmates could hear him moaning and groaning and screaming through the night. Years later, after his death, inmates still talked about hearing the moaning and screaming that would ring again through the stone corridors with thrilling distinction.
It's crazy that you mentioned that because I actually read an article in 1909 talking about the current inmates experiencing ghostly activity, which I have never come across an article that old, especially the location that I'm doing research on, where 100 years ago people are talking about ghosts. It was such an exciting find. What is happening here? What have you experienced and what have other people experienced?
Well, personally, the ghosts don't like me. They kept their distance. I've never had an experience here. Lived here for 10 years, been here for 28 years now. They just don't like me, I guess.
Interesting.
I think certain vibes people put out and they welcome the spirit, and apparently I don't have that vibe. But many of my guests have had come here and have had many experiences regularly here. People that have had conversations with spirits. I've had a guest that walked into the courtyard and started a conversation with another man out in the courtyard. After a moment of talking to this man, he realized this man's talking about how he was hung in that courtyard. And he said, when he realized what he did, he kind of did a what? And the man was gone. And the guy has come back a couple times and goes out there and sits out in the courtyard, smokes, and see if the man reappears. And he hasn't come back yet. But he had he truly believed that he had a conversation with a man that was hung out in that courtyard.
So this must have been a full solid body
It was
apparition.
a full body apparition, a conversation, everything.
Are there specific places within the Jailer's Inn that you have heard the most activity taking place, like specific rooms, specific entities?
Oh yes, it seems the upstairs rooms have a lot of activity, but there's been activity in just about every single room we've had here. The garden room at the upstairs room, which was at one time one of our cells, is haunted by Joshua, a 7 or 8-year-old little boy who haunts that room. I've got guests come back and bring toys and put toys out in the room for him to play with. Mischievous, not bad. He'll move stuff, he'll touch you, a lot of times you'll see an imprint on the bed where he's laying beside there, or a butt print on the bed where he's sitting there. Some people have felt him touch him, nothing bad. I've had one group that stayed in that room. It was a man, a woman, and 2 teenagers. And my innkeeper at the time was telling some ghost stories to them, and then they went on to bed. Well, they got a little freaked out with what was going on in the activity in the room. So the one woman's been here before, comes talk to us, and so my innkeeper went and talked to him, told Joshua to leave him alone, they were ready to go to bed. About another half an hour later, this time the woman is down here talking to the innkeeper again, but the man and the 2 teenagers are outside, scared to death, to come back in the room, back in the building.
Do you have any idea who Joshua is?
No, there's nothing that I know of documenting who he was, just as Joshua has started from ghost hunters that have had communications, and those that are sensitive that communicate and talk to him. The doorbell rang about midnight. I thought someone might want a room. I go check the doorbell, no one's there. Go back upstairs, and the doorbell's still going off. So I go back down and unplug the doorbell at the front door. Well, the one upstairs was still going off. So I went upstairs. By this time, it had been going for so long, it started to smolder. So I cut the wire to that one, finally get it. Rewired it all, and it still was acting up. So that was one probably experience that affected my wife the most there.
I'm curious, so you guys have an underground tunnel that connects to both the courthouse and the Talbot Tavern, just like the Talbot Tavern has obviously one to the courthouse and over here. Was there ever a time that potentially the inmates used that to get out of here, or was that just like no man's land? That's how they got in and out, but never to escape?
Well, the cave system that runs all underneath Bardstown is called St. Joe Caves. It was the jail originally was connected to the cave system, the tavern, and the previous courthouse. All these were back in the 1800s. Now, all parts of it have been caved in since then. And the main entrance, not too far from here, was when I was a child, you can crawl, or you can walk in there 400 or 500 yards back into it. Now, you can maybe get 50 feet crawling. So it's all filled in, caved in. But a great story with the cave system here, there's a fiddler who loved to go back in the fiddle with his dog and play his fiddle with down the caves. He loved the acoustics of it all. Well, there's a cave in, and he was trapped underneath there. But days and days after the cave in, they could still hear him playing the fiddle and the dog barking. And one of the lores of the town is that some days you can still hear a fiddle being playing with the dog barking with it.
They never got him out?
They never got him out.
No, the dog. This is devastating. Oh, and the fiddler too, but the dog. Oh my God. One quick thing that I want to touch on really quick, because it was a big part of our investigation at the Talbot, is Jesse James.
Mm-hmm.
We know he liked to hang out in Bardstown, and a big reason is because one of the sheriffs here was buddies with him.
Not only buddies, they're family. Frank and Jesse James' first cousin was married to the sheriff here in town, Donnie Pence. And not only was Donnie Pence family with them, he was friends. He actually rode with Frank and Jesse and the Quantrill Raiders out of Missouri during the Civil War. Supposedly, Frank James saved Donnie Pence's life during one of those skirmishes.
Gotta love it.
So they knew they can come here and be safe from the law, within the law.
It's good to have a sheriff on your side.
It is.
It really is.
So they come here to Bardstown. They respected the sheriff not to rob any of the banks in town, luckily. They go to tavern, drink, party, shoot it up over there. There's a couple of murals that Jesse James shot up over there. Then they come back here, stay there, or Donnie Pence's home was about 8 miles out.
My name's Emino, and I've been into the paranormal since I was little. I investigated the Jailer's Inn back in 2020 with a group of friends. And we had a lot of weird stuff happen. Like in one of the rooms, the alarm clock just started going off for no reason. And we're not sure why it did that. And then we turned it off, and then it started going off again. And then in the jail cell, we had some K2 meter hits, which was like responsive to what we was asking yes and no questions, and it was going off, answering the questions. But the main thing that happened was upstairs we did an Estes session, and during that Estes session we got a spirit come through, and he said his name was Jesse, and I'm pretty positive it was Jesse James, but we kept trying to get him to tell us what his last name was, but he wouldn't tell us what his last name was. But he kept talking about money and tunnels and everything that Jesse James would have done when he was here in Bardstown. I was kind of scared because I had threatened to take all the fake money and leave with it. And then the spirit came through and said, I'll cut you. And so then I was like, okay, I think I need to take a break and step outside. The feeling I had was just anxious, anxiety, I need to get out because I don't know what this is and it's threatening to hurt me and I don't want to be hurt by whatever this is. I feel like it was a little bit darker in here than it is at the Talbot. The Talbot, I think, has their known ghosts that hang around, but here it was just more darker, I feel like. And I'm not sure what it is, or if it's prisoners that was here that was kind of just hanging around. But yeah, that's how I felt. I do think the executions have something to do with the darkness and just the way that they were hung in the courtyard for everybody to see. I know if that was me, I wouldn't be very happy with that. I do think that the haunting here is connected to the Talbot. I know Jesse's known to be shown at the Talbot, and he'll come show himself in an apparition or in an EVP, but I do think maybe he comes here sometimes too.
I'm Ashley McGeorge, and I'm from Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Hey, I'm Whitney Peevler from Shepherdsville, and we started going to bed and breakfast, and a lot of the bed and breakfasts around Kentucky have a large history behind them. All the buildings are old, and there's always some ghost story behind that bed and breakfast, and so we search those, we stay the night at them, and we just kind of walk around, see if we can hear anything. So we're really interested in the paranormal. I was just searching haunted places in Kentucky, and I'm like, this sounds so neat. We can stay the night in an actual jail cell.
You think that's neat?
Yeah.
We're weird. I think what brought us here is pretty much the claims and just the deaths and then the violent deaths that happen here. As soon as we got here, obviously they were friendly. They showed us that there's a Ouija board here. She touched it, I didn't. But it kind of really nothing started until around, once it got dark, probably
10:30.
around, 10:30. And we were chilling in the cell after going out and going live on Facebook, talking to everybody, telling them where we were. So we had came in, we were just chilling in the room, and we decided to go out into the cells and stuff like that. And that's when we heard a voice. I think it was something like, died in here. She had went into the detox cell, and she was recording. She says, I don't know what this is. And then all of a sudden you hear this man saying something before this. We can't even understand what it was.
We didn't hear it in person.
Yeah, and we just
was
now
on
found
film.
out 3 years ago, or 3 years later. But he said someone died in here. Our blood ran cold.
Detox cell. I'm not sure what this is.
I had a creepy feeling from the beginning, but I'm going to a scary place that's haunted, but that's just me.
There's a lot of artifacts that are from whenever it was a jail. They used to hang people. A lot of the hangings didn't go well. And I think that conjures up a lot of negative spirits and entities. Well, there's calcite in the caves, which is a conductor for the paranormal. And also, Native Americans used the caves, and also there was a tuberculosis hospital in Mammoth Cave as well.
All right, guys, jailer's in. Here we go. Intense place, a lot of pretty dark history.
A lot of history. I mean, we have people dying in cells. We have people being executed in the back courtyard. I mean, you really kind of can't ask for darker history than that.
Yeah, I mean, we got this hood and the shackles used for one of the executions here. you have this story of this guy dying of typhoid fever in one of the cells. I mean, this ghost story goes back over 100 years, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking 1800s. This guy shot and killed his wife and then was going to be hung, but died of typhoid fever in his cell, and people said they hear him screaming. So that's pretty freaking dark.
So he's got unfinished business.
Hell yeah. Well, and then apparently it sounds like the legend is that his spirit of his wife's ghost followed him here too. So are you dealing with two? I don't know.
Curious to see what this feels like with all the lights off back there now this dark and more settled outside. I've yet to be in this place at nighttime. I know yesterday walking in here during the day gave me a headache and kind of nauseous. And it hasn't done that today, but we'll see how it is now.
Yeah, I mean, like we've seen in our other investigations, sometimes that vibe will change, like in a heartbeat. Right now I feel pretty good, but we're gonna go and explore the depths of the jail and get all up in there and see if we can recreate some of these claims that people have of EVPs. I mean, I find it really interesting that that individual was Martin Hill, who died of typhoid fever. He's in there and he's screaming in the detox room, and that's where people said they captured EVPs,
Right.
and they didn't even know about the history. So I think when we go in there, we're gonna run some audio. Nice thing about this place, thick ass limestone walls. Probably not a lot of noise pollution,
Yeah,
especially
for sure.
all the way down there. I mean, I was trying to holler at you before when we were setting up equipment. Nobody could hear me.
No.
So nobody could hear you scream.
All right, that being said, let's get you guys down there first. You
Okay.
guys can check out those, the detox cell, that entire wing of the jail cells. And, you know, Kevin being a former jailer, I think that's gonna be pretty interesting to see what happens.
With my background, working in jail in the past, being a deputy sheriff, putting people in jail, taking people out of jail, I'm really excited to see if my background changes the way that the investigation goes tonight with the energies. As of the reports with this jail being dark, I have investigated places where darker spirits are said to reside. I personally don't think I've really encountered that before. I feel like I have a pretty good protection and boundary set up. So I'm not too concerned about it, but it's always something to be cautious of no matter where you're at.
Since walkies can trigger EMF detecting devices, we've strictly prohibited their use during our investigations.
Yes.
Let's just try in the end of the hall here. I mean, we don't have to be in a room. We have a whole cabinet full of things here.
It's a good idea. Set it down on the cabinet.
I'll pull up this,
Paralight.
let's pull up this Paralight. So basically an EMF detector. And the closer things get to it, this will light up and let us know that something's close.
You know what we'll do? We have that there. Temperature drop, normal. Let me put this bad boy here. Anybody wants to come and talk to us, you're more than welcome to. We're at the end of the hallway, near the very last cell. We have a few devices here. We got a box on the top bunk on the right-hand side. And it's got orange numbers on it. If you touch it, breathe into it, that'll let us know that you're here. We also have a white egg-shaped device on the floor. If you step in front of that, that'll also let us know that you're here. We also got this lantern. You touch that, it'll light up like a Christmas tree. It's pretty cool. I find it interesting if there are entities here, right? And Paul has this as a bed and breakfast. Isn't that kind of like, and wouldn't you react weirdly to that? It's like, oh, here, I'm here locked up in prison, and like other people are coming here willingly to come and sleep.
See what happens if I take this and I walk in here and kind of isolate myself from people.
Do it.
Makes me a little bit more on my own. Excuse me, sir.
No, you got a bunk, mate. I used to have the same shirt as that guy.
Okay, now I'm in here by myself. If you can see me and hear me, will you come up and touch this device so I can know?
Oh,
Yes,
that.
that means yes.
What was that, the paralight?
Yep. So that means you can see me, correct? Do it one more time. Will you come and touch this one more time for me? Well, I went all the way up to the top.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Can you put the EDI next to it? See if we can get corroborating shit. Yeah, there we go. You guys notice that paralight detects EMF, right? But there's no EMF in the room. It's at 0 on that EDI plus. So that's pretty interesting. What's it set on your tri-field?
Tri-field's at 0.9, but that's not enough to make this go all the way up to the top like it did.
Okay.
I think whatever was in here left.
Yeah? Maybe it's in the detox cell.
Sometimes when you're in here and you can feel like a presence. It's kind of a little bit heavier air pressure in here, kind of like walking into a sauna or something like that. Makes it kind of like the air is thick, heavy, kind of hard to breathe. I started to feel that a little bit when the paralyte started going off, but now it's back to feeling just calm. So I'm gonna take this and move down here and try a different cell and see if maybe it follows us or maybe it's there waiting on us. All right, now we're in a different cell. This one has a lot of different items. Do you like this room? I heard that. Did you make one of these items on this wall? I live in Bardstown and was born to raise hell, but the law caught me and threw me in jail. Now here I am still doing time with nothing but freedom on my mind. But one day soon I will be free and jail will have seen the last of me.
What's going on? Nothing?
So as soon as I walked in and set this down, it went off.
What about the EDI?
Nothing.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was attracted to something on this wall.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was trying to pick one of those items up or try to use it or what, but no other responses since then.
The activity Kevin and Mustafa documented led them to believe that whatever is there was reluctant to interact. I headed into the jail with a single camera to see if fewer investigators would lead to a change in activity.
If you're over here, can you come up and touch this device that's in my hand, please? Hello? I just heard a sound hitting one of these bars. Sounded like that, very similar. Sounded like it was coming from this detox cell. This is where they say that man died of typhoid fever was in here. And they say they hear his screams, and we're talking about articles that go back 100 years. They were talking about this man that screams in the cell, and it sounded like we're hearing hidden, like banging on these jail cells, these bars. Now that feeling's back again that I'm having. Are you right here? It's freezing in here, right?
Why is it so cold? There's no windows.
It's like way colder in here than it was in there. There again, right? It's like, it's not a radiator or anything. Obviously, there's no heat in here. Whoa, did you hear that? I heard a voice. Whoa, shit. What is going on right now? Are you out there? Come here, please. Oh, the temperature's dropping. Did you get that?
Yeah.
It's like physically cold right now.
Yeah, it's getting colder.
Like, this is like freezing. This thing is so cold. Are you dropping the temperature here, or are you aware that you can do that? It is so, like, it's like right here. Like, my hands are freezing. Jesus. Are you familiar with the Talbot Tavern? It's freezing cold in here. Come on out. Come talk with us, please. So as soon as we walked into that room over here, the detox cell, where they say that a lot of activity takes place, this man screaming, they've had a lot of sightings in there. We were brought to that area because we heard what sounded like almost like banging on the steel in there, like the jail cell, the bars, and instantly it was drastically colder. I mean, way colder. We started to have changes in temperature, drops in temperature as soon as we walked in that area. Can you come out and show yourself, please? Are you in here? Oh, there we go. Temperature change. I'm getting that feeling again. It's like literally like look at right there, boom. It's like we're chasing a freaking cloud. It's like this, and look at I move. You right here? Every time we walk into that and the environment changes like that, I feel this sensation in my stomach that makes you feel sick. And it like takes off. You see that? Because if it was right here. You can physically feel that cold. God, it's like every time we walk into it, like it just physically makes you feel strange. Oh, there we go, it's still going. Temperature is continuing to drop. It's dropping and dropping and dropping. It's getting colder and colder and colder. Right? I can feel it physically moving and I'm like chasing it. It is insane. Look at it, seriously. That is so, I think it went out this right here. It's like right here, I can feel it, like physically. Oh my God. We can feel you, we can sense you. I do not like that room right there. We're just like gone now. It's like it took off, but we're like chasing it around that room. Oh, there it is again, right here. Oh. Look at this. We're chasing it, dude. Look at this.
Guys,
What?
Brandon, I'm getting some weird movement in front of that camera.
Say what?
I'm seeing some weird movement here. I
Where?
saw something weird as hell. It was like a foggy thing that kind of like moved like this.
A fog?
It was almost like you see how this looks right here?
Yeah.
But it was like mirrored here, but it was moving like this, like it was shifting. But the camera wasn't shifting. And it was clear, it was undeniable. But it was around the edge. I kind of saw it go over here. It's so hard to explain. It was freaking weird.
What the hell? Okay.
And it didn't look like a shadow.
Malia sees in real time the strange cloud we physically felt pass through us in the jail on her night vision camera. Prior to her sighting, the same camera logged other instances of what appears to be a floating shadow we've been following.
What? Hear stuff down there?
What'd you hear?
It sounded like keys, but were they playing with keys in there? Or was it sounded like it was coming from over there?
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Wait, motion detector just went off.
Motion detector's off, guys.
Motion detector just went off.
off.
That's what it's about.
Holy crap.
What you got?
Pressure, straight just pressure, not the temperature. Hello? Is there someone here?
Where you at?
Pressure, it's in this room. Pressure. Are you setting this off on your own? Gone, it's not here anymore. You can feel it. It was like I was feeling some kind of like weird electric tingle.
Where'd you go?
I don't want to be here, man.
What's going on?
Dude,
You in here?
I can feel, it's gonna sound crazy, I can feel it whatever when it's here. I know.
You felt
when
it?
I felt it, dude. I knew when it was gonna be here. This room, all right, just so people know, like this room, you see this? This isn't a sexy thing you wanna show on a TV show. It's just the back room, right, or whatever. But I knew it was moving down this hallway, and I'm just like, fuck this, I'm gonna follow it with this. And temperature drop, pressure, and I'm like, I knew it was gonna go in here. It doesn't want people to be in here.
This is exactly where I was when I heard the footsteps on this stairwell, and I grabbed the EDI off of this, and I went up right here, and that's when the pressure started to change.
Yeah. And what did I say? I went in there, I started feeling that thing, I was like pressure, I knew it was gonna go off, looking at it, and then I'm like, it's not gonna happen anymore. I said it, it's gone. It didn't happen anymore.
You don't feel it anymore?
No, it's fucking gone, dude. I
No,
know.
that's exactly what happened to me. It was like that feeling I was having the entire time. As soon as that pressure change happened, that sound on the staircase, gone. But then I walked down to that detox cell and walked right back into it. It's like you walk into a cloud almost.
But you heard the sound on the staircase and then it was gone.
Gone.
Same shit happened.
Yep.
I was at Old Nazareth Hospital in Mineral Wells, Texas, and I felt like I had to chase something, the EDI. What I felt like I was chasing at Old Nazareth, I felt like I was chasing a person. And every time I'd experience it, or whatever it was, I'd get pressure and temperature drops on the EDI, and then my left side, I'd feel some kind of weird sensation. When I would walk away from that, I was fine. But whenever I encountered that, I felt a little ill. And then I felt like, it's gonna sound crazy, but I felt like something was strangling me. Over here, I felt like I was walking into a cloud. And when I did that, my stomach would hurt, like I had food poisoning, like I ate some like really bad food, like, you know, while traveling abroad. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's like a floating cloud then of whatever, a floating cloud of environmental changes that makes you feel like you want to, you know, puke.
I've never like experienced a floating cloud of environmental changes. Like, I mean, literally you walk into it and the sensors are picking up changes in pressure and temperature. You walk out of it, it's gone. You walk back into it, you're, you know, again, pressure and temperature, and you physically feel affected. Like, you feel like you're sick. I think the best way, like Mustafa said, is like food poisoning. Like you feel physically ill. Not only your stomach starts to like get sick, but like the rest of your body feels ill.
And how did you feel when you walked out?
It's fine.
Same.
You know, and like you're chasing it, and we're getting like pressure changes. I mean, I don't know what to say. That's really wild. All right, now we have the EMCCD set up, and we'll do some monitoring down here with the EMCCD. So because we've been having this almost cloud-like sensation, you know, flowing throughout the entire jail cell area, we're getting pressure changes, temperature changes like crazy. Usually pressure changes indicate, you know, in our experience, some kind of event's about to happen. So now we have the EMCCD camera set up. Being that you saw that mist earlier,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like this camera is way more suited to something like that. So if that happens again, and you know, you seeing that mist correlates with that sensation we were feeling, and then you know, actually documenting, you know, temperature and pressure changes.
Absolutely.
That should, hopefully we can get it on this camera. That would, you know, take it that step further. But we're the first ones to really start testing the paranormal photon theory, and we're starting to see a correlation between photon. Right there was a photon event right there.
What?
Boom, yeah.
Shit, I missed it.
Yeah, right there. As I was talking about, right here. So Mustafa, can you note this?
Yeah.
10 minutes, 23 seconds.
Oh, what?
Whoa, pressure changes.
The hell?
Look at,
Oh my God.
and there was a photon event there, but it.
I'm fine. It's cool.
10 minutes, 23 seconds, right?
Yep. There was a big one right here. Right here.
What did it look like?
It was like very squiggly. It was red. Well, what's interesting, I mean, again, is like we go in, we have this sensation like we're walking into a cloud. It's like a thickness to it. You can actually physically feel it. We are documenting changes in the environment associated with that, and you're having physical reactions to it. Your stomach becomes sick, your body feels weak. You step out of that, the readings stop. No more changes in the environment, and that sensation within your body stops. So if we had the EMCCD camera running at that time, were those light events, were those photon events that we typically see on that, were they somehow coming into contact with us? Is that our reaction to something like that? We don't know. We're just theorizing, but it's definitely interesting.
It was heavy. It was a really heavy feeling. It would make sense that there's a lot of feelings of dread and a sense of longing and loneliness. I can only imagine what it felt like to be a prisoner, to be locked up here.
Rarely do investigations yield as wide a variety of experiences supported by documented environmental changes as our time at the Jailer's Inn did.
I think what I'm feeling is kind of the residual energy of maybe what the inmates themselves were experiencing.
Our scattered EMF spikes,
Went all the way up to the top.
followed by sharp drops in temperature, spikes in barometric pressure,
Pressure, straight just pressure.
and video on multiple cameras of this so-called floating cloud. We captured all correlated with our personal experiences. What's most intriguing is that this phenomena has been experienced by members of our own team in different locations in the past. We can't ignore the physical feelings of sickness that occurred when we presumably interacted with this cloud in the symptoms of former prisoner Martin Hill, who died of typhoid fever in the detox cell. Our evidence suggests that we may very well have documented a more than 100-year-old ghost story, one that's been told by prisoners of the jail for decades, is very much alive and repeatedly playing itself out at the Jailer's Inn.